Hey, church, we're going to be looking at Psalm 4. Begins by saying, "To the choir master with stringed instruments, a psalm of David." So David is the author of this psalm, and he begins in verse 1 by saying, "Answer me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have given me relief when I was in distress. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer." So he is asking that God would hear his prayer and show favor and grace to him, because God is righteous. He always does what is right. God is just. So David is crying out to God, asking that he would be gracious to him as he prays. And verse 2 kind of puts this in context of why David is crying out in the first place. Right? It says, "O men, how long shall my honor be turned into shame? How long will you love vain words and seek after lies?" Selah. Right? So there are people who are opposing David, who are seeking to put him to shame, who love vain and empty words. They're not people who are seeking truth, but are seeking to live by and follow after lies. And we're reminded in Psalm chapter 3 how David was being opposed by his son Absalom, and people were opposing him. So it may be a very similar context that's going on here in Psalm 4. But then we see how David responds to this. So even though people are trying to put David to shame and seeking after lies, we see here in verse 3, "But know that the Lord has set apart the godly for himself." And because God sets apart the godly for himself, the Lord hears when he calls him, right? So here he's saying, "Be gracious and hear my prayer." And because the Lord sets the godly for himself, the Lord hears those who are his own, right? And it says, what does it look like to be godly? And what does it mean to be set apart? Well, it means to be angry and do not sin. Have nothing to do with vain words and seeking after lies, but rather have a lifestyle committed to the truth and God and his ways. The godly are those who ponder in their own hearts and on their beds and are silent. Selah. What does that mean? Well, I think that the answer to that comes back in verse, kind of this whole context. What are you pondering? You're pondering how to be godly. You're pondering and you're crying out to the Lord in your distress. You're seeking to offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. Right? So these people are characterized by trusting in the Lord of all righteousness. There are those who say, right, kind of once again talking about these people who are opposing David here, "Who will show us some good? Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and wine abound. In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety." So even though David is being opposed, he trusts that the Lord is his ultimate security. And he has more joy than anything the world can offer, because following God and embracing God is the pathway to true and lasting and eternal joy. It's a joy and a peace that surpasses all understanding. So be encouraged, church, to continue to cry out to the Lord in prayer, to continue to ponder and live a lifestyle of godliness, to trust in the Lord in all your circumstances, remembering that our Lord is the true path to ultimate and lasting joy, and the one who gives us ultimate security, even in the midst of conflict and turmoil.